Welcome to the Sunday edition of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson, and because it's Sunday, I'll be talking about the lessons that I've learned this week and speaking with our amazing guests that we had on the show. And the first guest we had on Monday was Brian Birch. Brian Birch runs a very successful real estate operation, and the first thing that really resonated with me was he talked about how the first 1,500 units that you acquire will be absolute hell, and then it gets easier. Other people, you'll hear them mention about the first 3 deals are the hardest. Brian talked about the first 1,500 units, and he also had some other good tips for you, so check out that interview. And he also talked about how markets shift and how you always have to be asking yourself, what's going to happen next? Always be thinking ahead. Don't get caught in the one niche that you're in. He talked about how a river meanders across a plain. It never goes in a straight line. So always be thinking ahead about where the market will go next. And then he also had a really good story about how he had acquired this one property. He thought he had got a great deal. Then the market dropped out from underneath him. And there wasn't enough money left to pay the debt service. So he wasn't able to have money left over to pay the mortgage payments. So he ended up taking money from his own pocket, a significant amount of money each month to pay those bills, because at the end of the day, he needed to preserve his reputation, not only with the investors, but also with the lenders. So he took that hit every single month, but he wouldn't be where he is today unless he did that. So definitely recommend you check out my interview with Brian Birch. Then we had Caton. Sean, really great guy, and he focuses on shopping centers. And he mentioned how there's lots of doom and gloom right now in the media and amongst other investors about shopping centers. The internet's killing retail. Sean takes a contrarian approach and really talks about how he invests in those community centers. So you need your doctor's office, you need the dentist, the physiotherapist, you need your barbershop. Those kinds of community services aren't going anywhere. And so he's taking advantage of the negative attention that asset class is receiving right now to do some really great deals. And he also has a good backer behind him, his wife. We talked about how she is aware of everything going on in the portfolio. While she's not involved day to day, she has an appreciation of what real estate can do. And that's really supported him. And he also gives some tips for those of you out there who have a significant other and how to get them on board with pursuing your real estate investing and your portfolio. So check out Sean's interview. And then on Wednesday, we had Heidi Nelson. Heidi is a real firecracker, and she lost everything in 2008, 2009, lost the house, lost the marriage, everything just disintegrated right from underneath her. But she recovered. It wasn't overnight. She said it took a long process. But her very first deal, she acquired that deal for 100% seller financing. She got a vendor take-back mortgage. And then she did her second deal, which was a duplex. And doing those deals changed her mindset, because now she knew that, yes, she could take these properties, get great terms, acquire them for almost no money down or no money down. And then she started building her portfolio. And then, so she partnered on the duplex and then did some more deals. And then she tells the story about her Keystone deal, where she got this really good property under contract. She wrote an all-cash offer, didn't have the money, thought she would wholesale it to somebody. And then she ended up meeting for coffee with an investor that was coming into town, talking about the deal she was doing. Did a drive-by, and he was interested, and he actually ended up fronting all of the money needed for that acquisition and the renovations. Heidi's interview was very, very powerful, because here's somebody who got absolutely smoked and then was able to claw herself back up using her brains and her mindset and how to source these deals, make them happen, and put everything together. So Heidi's interview was great. We had some power outages during the interview, so she was a real trooper for sticking with it. Steve Olson is another guy who talks about mindset and how a fourplex isn't really different from a 100-unit property. You just have a lot more zeros and more commas. And he makes a good point where how lots of people get intimidated by the bigger deals because the numbers get bigger. But at the end of the day, you're still looking for that value add play. You're still looking for those market conditions. You're still looking to push those rents. If you're getting into real estate and you're intimidated by an extra 2 zeros at the end of a purchase price, don't be, because you just go back to the fundamentals, and the fundamentals will be in there no matter what size of deal you are dealing with. And then, he says you have to consciously focus on your mindset. You always have to be aware of the messages you're receiving, whether from your family, friends, your colleagues, the media. Always be focusing on your mindset and really working on seeing those opportunities and looking within yourself to know what you have to do to move yourself forward. And then he also talked about what happens to people when they either get knocked to the ground, similar to Heidi's situation. You hit rock bottom in your life, and the one thing that really stuck out at me was it gives you an edge. He said, having something bad like that happen to you gives you an edge, drives you forward. And I know with my own personal experience, it's certainly done that. It gives you a bit of a chip on your shoulder, not in a bad way, but in a good way, where it gives you that inner fire and energy to keep moving forward. And then, the last thing we were talking about was how right now in the current market, so we're in early 2019, there is a lot more money out there sitting on the sidelines than there are good deals. So if you're able to source those good deals, come up with a good game plan for the property, there is money out there for you, just looking for a good deal. We finished off the week with Nathan Birch, an Australian investor who bought his first property at the age of 18. Now he owns over $50 million worth of real estate, makes about $500,000 a year in passive income from his portfolio. He started off by talking about how it's important to know where you want to go with real estate. You always have to look at the end result you want and then work backwards from there. Lots of people get started, he said, in real estate. They just buy a couple properties with no game plan, no focus in place, and they don't really know why they're acquiring the assets they are, and it doesn't really add up to anything because they don't have a game plan. So listen to that interview and listen to how he talks about how you should structure and think about building your portfolio. It's really interesting. And then we were talking about how having that foundation portfolio is really important. So foundation properties aren't sexy. They won't be your Class A luxury properties with waterfalls and all that, but they're going to give you that foundation that you need that will allow you to step up to that, to maybe those Class A properties or those, those show-off type of properties where everybody likes to brag about them. Nobody brags about the cash cows that are giving them the platform to spring forward into those other deals. So really interesting interview with Nathan. He thinks about real estate in a very unique, creative way, and I really encourage you to listen to his interview and all the other interviews we have done so far. So make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our daily interviews with successful real estate investors, and I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.